Freaking jumped him and threw trash on him and all that.
Nope, missed all that.
That was nuts.
Honestly, you know what? Golden Knights are out, Celtics are out. It is baseball season.
It's like your interest in sports is like, well, baseball. Y'all got a win yesterday.
I'll watch it, but I'm not gonna,
Y'all got a win yesterday.
Yes.
But nah, so today we got Astrum, La Casa Cigars and Lounge, Grimaldi's, and Canes. Can we have the Genty one, the Stance, and the Alexander, those two ready for segment one, please? There you go. That'd be a good idea to lift the volume over here. Thank you, Bobby. Good morning. Still 11:59. So good morning, everybody tuning in. All over the place. Let's get to it. Raider Nation, let's go. We're kicking off today, Tuesday, May 20th, with a bang right here. Raider Nation, I am Harry Ruiz. JT the Brick has the day off. After not being in the studio for what it felt forever, now I got 3 shows in the last week. I'm enjoying that. I love getting all the feedback from the Raider Nation, getting the pulse of you, seeing what you're feeling, what you're hoping for, what you're looking at. Absolutely. Last week we had the schedule release, and now we go from schedule release to OTAs, the next phase of the offseason program. We didn't get to see, as media, the first day of OTAs yesterday at Raiders headquarters, but we're going to get to see it tomorrow, so that will be undoubtedly entertaining for us and informative for us to you, and that's something that we're really enjoying. Speaking of informative, of course, the NFL owner meetings going down over there in Minneapolis. Vinny Bonsignore is on site covering for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. We heard him this morning with Vince Sapienza, which, by the way, shout out to Vince Sapienza. Yesterday, he went 3 hours straight flying solo here on the flagship, and he did a hell of a job. I caught him on the way to the doctor's office and on the way back, and after a little bit, I was like, wait, I don't hear Clay or Vinny. I'm like, okay, you go, Vince. You're doing a great job. So shout out to Vince. Today he had Vinny on the line a couple of times throughout the show. And now it's time for the JT the Brick Show, because I want to talk about the schedule, the preseason schedule That one already got released. Pete Carroll, he kind of spoiled the first game on an interview he had last week saying, how about that? How about that first game, right? To a Seattle radio station. So we're all like, okay, preseason week 1, that's going to be in Seattle, but now we know the exact dates. The first one is on a Thursday out there in Seattle, and then a Saturday here in Vegas and a Saturday in Arizona. And it's going to be one of the most interesting preseasons in the last decade, in my opinion, because you got a guy that knows the NFL inside and out 3 times over in Pete Carroll. You got a rookie stud in Ashton Jeanty. You got guys that you want to see in action, like a Jack Bech, a Darian Porter, the offensive lineman. It's going to be a great opportunity for Cam Miller in the quarterback spot to compete with Aiden O'Connell, and if they got Carter Bradley in the mix there as well. So it's going to be a very interesting preseason. We're going to talk about those dates. The NFL, thinking about tinkering with 2 more rules. Of course, the tuck rule, something that we had already spoken of in the last couple of months. The Green Bay Packers not liking that. But the Detroit Lions speaking about reseeding in the playoffs, something I personally am not against. I actually think it would be positive. Yes, if you are a divisional champion, you get to go to the playoffs. But in my opinion, that shouldn't guarantee you a home game. That's my opinion. We'll speak about that throughout the show. You got the betting odds, with the Raiders only being favored in 4 of the 17 games in the 2025 campaign, and the over-under being set at 6.5 points. Of course, a lot of close lines with the opponents of the Raiders being favorites during the season. That's something that I think is very interesting. And then we're absolutely going to talk about Ashton Jeanty. He spoke with Kay Adams from the Up and Adams show throughout the weekend over there at the NFLPA Rookie Symposium that they had in Southern California. And we got a couple of his sound bites, and we're going to listen to one here in the first segment, and then one a little bit later on the show. But we're going to hear from John Spytek, talk about baseball, because I hear JT, he says, yes, Aaron Judge, he's got great numbers, he's better than Shohei Ohtani. Right now in May, yes. Judge disappeared in October. We'll speak about that later in the show. The NBA Conference Finals kick off today with the Western Conference Finals, and tomorrow the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1. That's going to be fun. And also, I got 2 great guests. I really love talking to Murph from Raiders Fan Radio, get his perspective as a fan, but someone also that is very responsible and has great takes on the mic. You can check him out, Raiders Fan Radio, for Vegas sports today online, and that's something that it's the new age. Heck, JT the Brick, he broadcasts the first hour of the show usually on YouTube, and he does great numbers. He's been getting great number of subscribers. I'm on YouTube right now, youtube.com/@HarryRuiz if you want to check out the show there. I'm also on TikTok and on Instagram broadcasting, so we are there to expand the audience. And Sean Zattel, he also covers boxing. He's the voter with the Boxing Hall of Fame, and he does a great job with boxing. And something interesting is that the Raiders, they're going to be playing on Monday Night Football in Week 2 pretty much as a favor to the NFL, because there was going to be a boxing fight at Allegiant Stadium on the Friday of that home opener on Mexican Independence Day weekend, and then a UNLV game on Saturday. So the NFL put the Raiders on Monday Night Football, the second of 2 Monday Night Football games against the Chargers. But now, Canelo isn't going to be fighting at Allegiant Stadium. Canelo isn't going to be fighting on that day. Canelo might not even be fighting in Las Vegas on Mexican Independence Day weekend. And Dana White, who's going to be involved in the promotion of that fight, he's not even involved in it anymore. And I want to speak not only Raiders football, but also boxing with Sean Zattel. And then are we going to get the dream team of flag football NFLers? Everything seems that NFL players are going to get the green light to participate in the summer games in 2028, which right now we're saying 2028, and it seems like it's a decade away. In a blink of an eye, we're going to be having the summer games out here in the United States, and we might have NFL football players playing flag football, which I'll just say this right off the bat, and we'll speak more about it later on the show. I've watched NFL players play flag football in the Pro Bowl games. And man, that was something that I don't have interest at all at watching. Of course, now you're not going to be playing just to say the AFC won, the NFC won. You're going to be playing to just the foregone conclusion that the U.S. is going to win the gold medal in the men's side with all of the NFL players that they have. On the women's side, it might be more competitive. I've watched the Mexican team kick butt in Europe against some pretty good squads. I've seen them kick butt out here in the United States now and so often they switch wins and trade wins with the U.S. team. So I think the women's side might be more competitive. But when you include potentially a Patrick Mahomes, a Justin Jefferson, a Brock Bowers, somebody like that in the mix, those are guys that have expressed their interest, not Bowers. I've heard Jefferson and Mahomes say that they would like to play. And you know what? It makes sense. They would be playing for a gold medal. How many? I mean, yes, if you include all the athletes from every discipline, a lot of people have gold medals in their trophy cases all throughout the world. But it would be very cool for the first ever flag football, gold medals to be in your possession, that you participated, that you won in that competition. Aaron Jones, who I know pretty well from his time at UTEP, who's been killing it in the NFL for pretty much a decade between the Packers and the Vikings, he's a proponent of letting NFL players play in the flag football discipline in the Olympics. And I was just watching him on social media. His kid plays flag football, so he's motivated for that. He wants to be the next step. And look at the younger generation. A lot of these kids don't want to be banging helmets and seeing what happens with all of that and be like, okay, I can go play flag football and your image is going to be out there way more. I go to Raiders practice, and at times when it's OTAs and I got a lot of new kids and rookies and signees and all of that, and I haven't memorized the numbers, I'm like, who is this guy with this number? If I can't see his face, I can't recognize him. Flag football, you don't wear helmets. Your face is going to be out there for a huge audience. So that's interesting. But, well, that's something we're going to be talking about throughout the show. The first topic I want to talk about is Ashton Jeanty, the stud running back that the Raiders got in the draft, 6th overall pick out of Boise State. He killed it with the Broncos in his 3 years. But something interesting in the rookie minicamp that went down out there in Henderson a couple of weeks ago was you could see Ashton Jeanty, instead of standing up the way that he did pre-snap at Boise State in college, he was a little bit lower, like you usually see running backs not only in college but throughout the NFL and in high school. And when those videos started popping up on social media, a lot of people started asking, what the hell is going on here? Why is he not doing his Michael Myers stance right there like Halloween? And Kay Adams asked him about it, and here's what the running back for the Silver and Black had to say. I love this. I love this at Ashton Jeanty. The moment that he got asked by the coaching staff, specifically by Chip Kelly, to do the normal stance that you do as a running back pre-snap, he did it. That shows you he's coachable. That shows you that he's not going to be saying, no, I've done it this way in college. I almost broke Barry Sanders' rushing record in college doing it this way. So, no, I'm not going to do. No. This kid, he said, yes, coach, whatever you need me to do, I'll do so. And this kid has been coachable, and he said, hey, maybe in the future. And you know what? He has to earn everything he's going to get in the NFL. It don't matter if in college you were the biggest superstar, if you were a Heisman Trophy winner, if you were a Heisman runner-up, if you won every award available for a running back. Now you're in the NFL, and now you got people that are more experienced than you that tell you, there's a reason for why I want you to do things this way. And interestingly, Sean Alexander, former NFL player, he was a guest also with Kay Adams on her show, Up and Adams. And Kay asked Sean Alexander about this situation of Ashton Jeanty not doing that stance now that he's in the pros. And here's what Sean Alexander, a vet, said about it.
You want to take every tip and every advantage as a running back. And so if it makes them better, then he'll do it. Shanti's coachable. He's going to be like, all right, well, let me see if this actually makes me a little bit better. And if he doesn't, then they stand up because just like a player wants to take every tip and advantage to make himself better, every coach wants their player to be what they need to be a little bit better because he can hide behind people a little bit better. And sometimes when you're standing tall, the defensive people can see what you're doing, and you might be able to tip some things.
And there you go. That's the reasoning right there. Sean Alexander, he has been on the field. It's like, hey, if you bend over a little bit and you got that different stance instead of standing up, and I know Ashton Jeanty ain't six feet tall, so there's going to be guys that are going to be blocking him that you might not be able to see over them to see Ashton Jeanty. But if he bends down a little bit more, hey, that kid is going to be practically invisible to the linebackers, to the safeties, to some of the defensive tackles. It's like, hey, do the things the way that your coaching staff is asking you to do it. And I think that's something very positive and that I'm going to hopefully enjoy watching. And look, tomorrow, OTAs, we're going to see him out there with the vets, and we're going to be blasting content of Ashton Jeanty, seeing, in my opinion, the continuation of him going back to that normal stance when it comes to NFL football. But that's something I wanted to share with you guys that I saw on social media and said, good for Ashton Jeanty. Keep doing your thing and keep supporting the coaching staff and do things the way that they want them to do it. They want you to succeed. If you succeed, they succeed. They're the ones giving you the instructions from off the field. If the player is great on the field, that's going to look great on them. If the player looks great on the field, the team is going to do better. And if the team does better, they do better. They might stick around for a long time. If the team hasn't done good, what has happened with the last couple coaching staffs? They've come and gone, and we had to start from zero. So the coaches, they want to do the best for you, and the player is listening. He's a rookie. He should be doing it. And I spoke with Mike Haynes a couple of weeks ago at the Biletnikoff Foundation golf tournament, the Golf Invitational, the Hall of Fame Invitational. And Mike Haynes was like, hey, I want the rookies to listen to all the knowledge that they can get. And there's going to be the former player game out here in Las Vegas, the alumni game in the preseason, and you know there's gonna be a lot of legends, a lot of former players, a lot of Hall of Famers out there, and they're gonna be able to give all that knowledge to the guys on the field. Let's welcome the new sponsor of the JT the Brick Show, Astrum. Astrum headphones are the greatest headphones I've ever experienced. It's surround sound. It's so amazing. Their technology is one of a kind, and their earbuds are so comfortable with perfect sound and no drop connection. Check out astrumtech.com. Use promo code JT to save 20%. That's astrumtech.com. I saw JT's headphones, the Astrum Tech ones. I want to get a pair. I might use that code just to get that 20% off and be wearing them the next time I'm hosting the JT the Brick Show. It's time for our first break here today on this show, Tuesday, May 20th. After this break, we're going to have Murph from Raiders Fan Radio to speak all things silver and black. The Raiders, they've kicked off OTAs in Henderson, and we'll be there tomorrow. Saludos, Juven Montenegro. Predictions for preseason? Man, we don't know. You never know who's going to be playing, who ain't going to be playing. But hopefully the Raiders get some wins in the preseason. Saludos, Ruben. Marco Celta, Yo Boomer. Can't wait, excited for the upcoming season. All those guys, hell yeah. You got those Dodgers. Damn, even if they don't win, man, it's a bit tough. Yeah, people started getting pissed off. It's like, why is he not standing up? It's like, dude,
Really?
let him get coached. Let him do the things that the coaches are asking him to do. Can we do the Brock Bowers cut as a rejoin, please?
Let's go.
All right, boys. Hey, Murph, it's Bob. All right, I'll get a cup of Harry. Give me 2 minutes. I'll get to it. Thanks. Please, then.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice today. Lack of using it.
How about that OTA's clip that the Raiders posted? Pretty cool stuff. TNT brought Bowers. Daniel Carlson back to number 8. Gino, Dash. It'll be fun going out there tomorrow.
Go to therealestateguyLV.com or call 702-310-6683. That's 702-310.
His Bowers coming back.
Sir.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by PT, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m. Back to the JT the Brick Show with today's guest host, Harry Ruiz.
I mean, it feels good. Last where you were like quarter, and all of a sudden you catch 4 in a row. So it's kind of weird how it happens like that. How the game flows and yeah.
That's Raiders tight end Brock Bowers speaking to House of Highlights. Pretty cool video of him speaking with them for a little bit over 10 minutes, where he broke down a lot of his clips, both from high school, from college, and also some from the NFL, where last year he became one of the rising stars of the league. He broke every record for a tight end when it comes to the rookie seasons. And we're so excited now for year number 2 in the silver and black for Brock Bowers. And I am very excited to have Murph from Raiders Fan Radio joining us today. Murph, you heard Brock Bowers right there. Man, we can't have him not be targeted at least 3 times per quarter. And that unfortunately happened a lot of times last year where he wasn't looked for in a full half. He's a weapon. You got to look for him. How are you, Murph?
I'm doing fantastic, Harry. Thanks for having me, as always. And yeah, absolutely stoked to see what Brock Bowers is going to do this season. And I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do as far as, like, red zone packages. We've got so much now diversity and opportunity with this offense, with adding even pieces like J.J. Pegues who can run the ball in short distance. I hope Brock Bowers is just going to be a red zone nightmare for us this year. I feel like he was a little underutilized in that area, I look forward to seeing what that young man's going to do.
Absolutely, and looking forward to what Pete Carroll brings into the building. I have been able to be present in only one of the off-season practices. It was rookie minicamp, and I hadn't seen that much energy from any of the staffs that I had covered before, and that's something where I'm like, man, this guy is in his 70s and he's rocking it, and he's having Patrick Graham energized like a way I'd never seen him before. And the players, they were rookies, of course, they're impressionable, their first NFL practice, but if that's what I'm going to be seeing like tomorrow at OTAs and in season during practice, that's what I want to see from this squad.
Yeah, that energy can be infectious, right? And good leaders have that ability and good coaches have that ability to rub off on their team. And we know the teams take on the personality of said coaches. And so to have a guy like Pete Carroll still bringing it, after these years in the league, and then of course coaching in NCAA, and to still be bringing it every single day. I mean, I can imagine what it's like for you and for others to be around the facility, and like you said, the younger players. That's something that's just going to come natural with just their excitement of entering into the NFL. But to energize the rest of the building as well, I bet that's something really, really cool that you and many others are getting to witness firsthand. And just as fans, I know that us out there, we may not be in the building, but we can see it through social media and just the reporting that's come through by yourself and others and the shows and the guests that we've heard. Man, that energy has just been awesome to see unfold.
Of course, Murph from Raiders Fan Radio is our guest here today on the JT the Brick Show. Murph, tell me the pulse of the nation, because you got a great platform online with Raiders Fan Radio. From your perspective, how do you see this fan base? Because look, they've been through this roller coaster, which unfortunately has had more downs than ups in the last 2 decades, but I sense excitement from a lot of the Raider Nation, but I also see some Raider Nation that they're skeptical, that they're like, they're in a wait-and-see mode, that they prefer seeing the results first before getting excited.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and, it's going into the season, especially as long as you've been a fan of this team like I have. I mean, I got enough gray in my beard, and most of that's from watching the Silver and Black for the past, 20 years. But, I always look for things to be optimistic about, and I think that I have been guilty at times of fabricating optimism by looking for something that could be positive, and maybe like, if this happens this particular way, then maybe that would be good for the Raiders, and then we can piece together some W's and make a playoff run. But this is the first year in a very long time, Harry, that I can genuinely say that I don't have to look far for optimism in this season. You don't have to look far when you look at what the moves that John Spytek has made in the offseason, Pete Carroll's infectious attitude and positivity, the players that they've brought into the facility now, adding a veteran quarterback like Geno Smith, locking up our best player on the team in Max Crosby. The way that this draft unfolded, I thought was absolutely beautiful. And we know that, listen, the odds are not every single player is going to be a home run. I wish the best for every single one of those young men, but we know that that's not the way that drafts typically will round out. But I can say with all confidence that they did precisely what they needed to at the time in which they were on the board for every single one of these picks. And there is an incredible opportunity for each one of those guys that we brought in. So I'm with you. So the pulse of the nation is that. I think that there are some folks that feel like they've been burned one too many times and are being cautiously optimistic. But there's a lot of us, and especially the folks that are around our show and our listening audience, folks are fired up for it. And listen, we're fans of the team. We should be fired up for it. I'm not going to just sit around and brood that, I guess and pout about what the Raiders may or may not do. Because for what the Raiders are today, I think there's a lot of excitement to be had. I think the fan base is definitely reflecting that.
Of course, Murph from Raiders Fan Radio is with us today here on the JT the Brick Show. Murph, defensive side of the ball, we saw not an exodus, but guys that deserved to get their bank, to get their money, to get their bag increased. And you saw Robert Spillane part ways with the Raiders by going as a free agent to New England. Nate Hobbs, Trayvon Merrick, Marcus Epps. But the defensive line, that's the first line of attack for that defense, and that one is intact. Does that at least keep you a little bit more motivated that it's like, hey, Pete Carroll with his expertise, Patrick Graham under the system for the 4th year in a row with the Raiders, they'll be able to figure it out even though they lost out on some important players.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's going to really hold us back is going to be injury, and I wish the best for Christian Wilkins and hope that some of these reports and things that are coming out, that he comes back fully healthy and ready to go for this season, because obviously that's going to be a huge thing for us. We're going to have to see how Malcolm Coots is going to respond after having that injury that he suffered last year before the season started. But outside of an injury concern, Harry, that front four is going to be one of the best in the NFL, and I don't think that's me overselling it. I think that there's a lot to be had from those guys. The second level, I'm with you. You know, the linebackers, we did see some turnover there, but I love the veterans that we brought in. I love the leadership that we brought in for there. And really, my favorite, getting to the last line of defense in the secondary, my absolute favorite camp battle or we'll say competition, because we're always competing, right? My favorite thing is in the secondary. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jacorian Bennett's going to do as the incumbent, but then also DeCamerion Richardson. You know, we know that defensive backs take 2 or 3 years to really develop. I'm curious to see where that young man's going to come out. And then, you know, even some of the undrafted free agents that we've signed, and of course the rest of the draft with Darian Porter and signing Eric Stokes. I mean, I just think there's going to be a lot of really good competition in the secondary, and look forward to seeing these guys, you know, iron sharpen iron, and seeing what they what they come up with here as far as what we're going to do for a starting rotation.
Yeah, the team might have lost some key pieces, but you also added guys who you look at their numbers, and they're comparable numbers to the guys that left, and they're guys that are very, very hungry to succeed. Look at Robert Spillane a couple of years ago when he arrived to the Silver and Black. A lot of people had no clue who he was, with all due respect, and he leaves from Las Vegas as a great linebacker, somebody that, in my opinion, should have been a Pro Bowler the last 2 years. And let's hope that for the Raiders, a guy like Jeremy Chin, a guy like Eric Stokes, a guy like Landon Roberts, with that hunger that they come with to Las Vegas, they're able to succeed for the Raiders. My last question, football related, Murph, Ashton Jeanty. Do you expect him to be that guy that gets a ridiculous amount of carries and he's gonna, like he did in college, or do you think that it's gonna be a little bit more split with Raheem Mostert? What do you expect from the stud running back that they drafted out of Boise State?
I expect dominance, Harry, and I don't think that's asking too much. And I think that we've had some folks in the listening audience of our show talk about maybe the level of expectation that Raider Nation and those of us that on our show about really the level of expectation that we have on young Ashton Jeanty. And I don't think that there's too much for him. I think that he's demonstrated he has the ability to be the bell cow. He can take the team on his shoulders, and he can dominate. And so I don't think it's out of, you know, the realm of expectation for him to have, you know, 1,500 plus all-purpose yards. Because remember, he can catch too now. He's a heck of a ball catcher out of the backfield. So to have that level of all-purpose yards, you know, 10 touchdowns, you know, competing, you're top 10 in rushing, competing for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think that, you know, last year Brock had a stiff competition with all the quarterbacks drafted. I think this year you've got pretty much Cam Ward and Ashton Jeanty are your 1 and 1A competing for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I think that is the level of expectation, and he can do it, and he's not going to shy away from it. When you look at his skill set and his abilities, and I think hopefully what we'll see in the offensive line this year, I think that Raider Nation is going to be in for a treat this year. This is going to be a really, really fun team to watch.
Can you imagine if last year we were able to draft the best tight end in football last season, because he was an all-pro, not just a Pro Bowler, he was an all-pro tight end in the sport. When you talk about Brock Bowers, if you're able to draft a running back who's able to become the Offensive Rookie of the Year and potentially be one of the top running backs early in his career, that's your your number 1 overall draft picks when it comes to first rounders in the Silver and Black the last 2 years. You keep building around them, you can talk about great things, and including Chip Kelly and his imagination when it comes to offense. That seems like a fantastic recipe. That seems like something fantastic. And something fantastic, congratulations to you and all the crew with Raiders Fan Radio. You're on the Believe Network now. How important is that for you and for your organization and everything, all the great things that you guys do with the Raider Nation and your foundation?
Oh, thank you so much for asking, Harry. Yeah, we're very proud to be joining the Believe Network. And, it was an opportunity for us to grow our show. And, our show is now, the whole goal and design of it is to support our nonprofit, which is the One Nation Foundation, where we give all the money that we raise with Raiders Fan Radio. We give it all away to Raiders-related charities like the good folks at the Blitnikoff Foundation or the good folks at Raider Dad. And so, we can't build our foundation without building a show. So that's what the Believe Network is going to give us the opportunity to do that, just through advertising partnerships and, of course, the amazing generosity of Raider Nation, where the majority of the money that we raise comes from. We will say it all the time. We are just vessels. We are three knuckleheads with microphones doing a podcast. It is the generosity of Raider Nation is where this comes through. Raider Nation is La Familia, as you know, Harry, and it comes through with their heart for charities. And so we're just happy to be a part of that, and look forward to seeing what we're going to do with the foundation for this year.
Of course, and the Raiders announced their preseason schedule, their slate for preseason games, and the home game is going to be August 16th at 1 p.m. against the San Francisco 49ers. Last year, you and I were out there, and Jeff as well. Shout out to Swag Jeff. And that's something important for you guys as well, supporting the cause with Vegas Raider Dad, right?
Yes, absolutely. That organization really spoke to us. Being a kid that grew up in the Oakland Coliseum, going to A's games and Raider games, and even the Warriors over at the arena, and like that, those bonds and that I, formed with my dad and my uncles and really all of my family. That was just such an important thing in my upbringing, and really led to what my passion is for the Raiders today. But the best part about it is that it was done with those parental figures, those grown-ups in my life. And so for Raider Dad to be taking underprivileged kids to these games, offering them a full tailgate experience and whatnot, and not just for the kids, but for their parental figures, and to be out there and to see, Raider Nation's, again, generosity and your hard-earned dollars, to see it in action, providing these things for these kids and these families. It's an absolute amazing organization. We couldn't be prouder to partner with them for that preseason game. So Raider Nation, if you're out tailgate for that game against the Niners, definitely come by and say hi.
Yeah, shout out to Nina and Sulaco, Mike and Sulaco, the whole B-Lot brothers that were out there this past Tuesday last week. My girlfriend and I, we attended a little event that they had in Henderson to spread the word of Vegas Raider Dad, and you should definitely support the cause and check them out. You've heard Josh multiple times with myself, with JT, speak about the cause and Raiders Fan Radio. They are huge supporters of Vegas Raiders Dad. We hope to see you there. I'll be stopping by like I always do. Murph, thank you so much. If you want to do a shout out to your network, to everybody that supports you, the social media, where can fans listen to you?
That's us. Thank you, Harry, as always. You can find me on X there. I'm @_Murph. But more importantly, everything on all the socials is @Raiders Fan Radio. Our show is on YouTube each and every week on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, and that is youtube.com/Raiders Fan Radio. We're getting ready to kick off our summer fundraising. We call it the Summer of Swag, where we auction off a bunch of autographed merchandise, jerseys, all that good stuff. And so we're going to take all those proceeds, all that money, and that all goes straight to the foundation, which is the One Nation Foundation. And so anything Raider Nation could do to help support us in any of those efforts, we would appreciate it. And thank you, Harry, as always, for being such an amazing voice for our charity and for our show, and for giving a dopey Raider fan like me a platform here on Raider Nation Radio. So thank you so much.
Nah, brother, you're an amazing guy. You and the whole crew, you do an amazing job, and it's always a pleasure being able to bring you on the air. Murph, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Sounds good, brother. Talk to you soon.
There he goes, Murph from Raiders Fan Radio. Yeah, check out all those preseason games, both the away and the home games, but checking out that home game, that's very important for people that I understand. For example, it's hard to let go of your regular season games and donating them at times, but if you're able to donate if you're a PSL holder, instead of selling it for cheap, if you can donate it to Vegas Raider Dad, that's amazing. So here's the schedule for the preseason for the Silver and Black. August 7th, 7 p.m., that's a Thursday game. Raiders visit the Seattle Seahawks. August 16th in Las Vegas. That's a Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. The Raiders take on the San Francisco 49ers, the former Battle of the Bay. Then on Saturday, August 23rd, the Silver and Black take on the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals in Glendale, Arizona. So it's going to be a West Coast preseason for the Silver and Black. Pretty short trips. That's something that always helps out. That's something that makes it comfortable for the players, not having to do long road trips. And for the Raiders, because it's a season where they get 9 regular season games, that means there's only 1 preseason game. And you know what? That's a trade I would make every single day of the week and be like, you know what? I'd rather have more regular season home games than preseason home games. Let's keep it that way. But obviously right now, 17 game regular season, that's going to be broken up that way instead of when it's going to be 18. Then we'll have 9 and 9. 9 home, 9 away. La Casa Cigars and Lounge at Tivoli Village is a proud sponsor of the JT the Brick Show. La Casa has a big announcement. They are in the process of moving next door and reopening in a new, modern, great location. Stay tuned for their new re-grand opening celebration and a special live broadcast. La Casa Cigars and Lounge at Tivoli Village and online at lacasacigars.com. Let's go to a break, Raider Nation. The phone lines are now open for you. 702-365-9200. Sound off. 702-365-9200. Let's hear from you after this break, Raider Nation.
Previously on Unnecessary Roughness.
I mean, it's easy for me to go through the schedule and be like,
Can
man,
we
I
do
see
the
10,
Spy
11
Tech
wins,
Outlook
the Raiders
as a
have
join
got
in,
this.
please?
There's actually no proof that this offensive
You're the
line
man,
is
Bobby.
gonna be
Thank
better than
you.
we saw last year. They haven't played any games. It's not like we've seen them come together. We don't know who the starting 5 are. We're giving them the benefit of the doubt because the decisions have been made make sense. The draft to us all made sense. It feels like everything's going in the right direction.
Don't miss Unnecessary Roughness weekdays at 2 on Raider Nation Radio, 920 AM.
Sorry? Mitch? It's all good. Saludos a mi sobrinita Andrea. Saludos, Andrea Narro. Está sintonizando el programa en vivo hoy. Ya tenemos que ir a visitarla, Hani y yo. La extrañamos mucho. Los extrañamos. Frijolito, Elda, un abrazo. Los queremos mucho. What's up, mi Leo Cholo? Lucha Underground OG, Lucha Underground Star is in the building. My guy, Angelito. Gustavo, como lo conocen acá en la estación. I'm doing good, Leo Cholo. Shout out to you, brother. Armando, my brother. My Dodger brother. Go Dodgers. Dad Raider Hemi, much love, bro. Much love back. Raider Nation all day. Viva los Dodgers, says Yo Boomer. The disrespect, fuel to the fire. Yes, that should be the case. Who's on TikTok? Vic, 2099. Saludos, mi bro Harry. Saludos, Vic. Gracias por estar aquí. The team has a chance to win 5 games in the first 7. I mean, they got a chance to win all of them, but it's going to be tough. All the way from Mexico City, Don Rubén Montenegro. Vic, 2099 desde Toluca, Mexico. Mexico in the building. How about that? Raiders in Mexico next year? Hopefully. That would be awesome. Did he say Nevada wrong there?
I'm sorry, what?
Did he say Nevada wrong there?
I don't know.
Nevada.
Make it sound like I'm paying attention to the commercials. I really pay attention to the program.
Right? Yeah, he can take it back. I know who it's going to be in case somebody else calls.
All right. Well, if you get confused,
Hey.
let me know. I'll hold it up for you. Not a problem. Glad to help.
You're the man, Bobby. Thank you. What's up? Who's tuning in today? YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. What you got for me? Gotta change that jersey. What up, Cholo? Nah, man.
Be a 5-hour inning.
Dodgers all day. Let me guess, Angels? Y'all kicked our ass this week, though. That sucked. Mi Angelito, what up, bro? All right, we got one more segment before the end of hour number 1.
Here we go.
Thank you, sir.
To compete. You know, we got we're not making any bones about that. You know, compete every day in practice. We try to fill every single position room up with as much competition as possible. There's an energy and there's an excitement here that's pretty tangible right now with the way Coach runs this program. You know, I think guys are feeling that, and we're in a tough division. It's not a secret to anybody. We've got 4 great coaches, great quarterbacks everywhere, and a lot of great players. But you know, we're not going to be shy about going out there and throwing the ball out there and making great investment. That's what I expect. The high effort, intensity, put the ball out anywhere. We just want to play football. That's what we've heard. That's the standard around here.
That's Raiders general manager John Spytek via the NFL Spotlight podcast hosted by Ari Mayrov. Ari's going to be on the air with Q Myers tomorrow at 3 p.m., so make sure you check out El Jefe's show on every day, but especially tomorrow. Ari Mayrov is going to be on the air speaking about this interview. By the way, breaking news out of the NFL owners meeting. Hall of Famer Charles Woodson has been approved officially at today's league meeting as a limited partner to the ownership group of the Cleveland Browns. Shout out to Charles Woodson. You already heard the news, of course, from JT the Brick yesterday here on the show, who spoke directly with Charles Woodson during the event on Saturday. That's pretty cool, getting invited to those kind of things. And he was able to talk with Seawood. That happened, and now it's official, made official by the league. Shout out to Seawood. Congratulations to him. Man, he's been super successful in his college career, Heisman Trophy winner, in his pro career, Super Bowl champion, Pro Football Hall of Famer, in his business career with Woodson Whiskey, who was a proud partner of Raider Nation Radio and the JT the Brick Show. And look at him now, limited partner to an ownership group of an NFL team. Big shout out to Charles Woodson. Now my big question is, when the Raiders play the Browns out here in Las Vegas, what color is he going to be wearing? Is he going to be donning the silver and black? We've seen him out there in Mark Davis' suite, enjoying games. Now is he going to be wearing a Browns logo on his lapel? Is it going to be a little pin, or is he still going to be rocking the silver and black? But you know what? That's good kind of trouble to have, a good kind of problems to have. Which color am I going to wear? What am I going to do? Because I own part of this team, but I'm also a business partner with this other team and a former player and a legend with the other one. So shout out to Seawood. Congratulations to him. And shout out to Mitch from New Jersey, our first caller for today's show here on the JT the Brick Show on Tuesday, May 20th. Mitch, always a pleasure having you on. What you got for me?
Probably.
Sometimes.
What the bleep is this guy talking about?
Hey, that would have. Hey, keep. True that. Thank you so much, Mitch. Appreciate the call. If you want to jump in on the air here today with me on Raider Nation Radio, 702-365-9200. When it comes to expansion in the NFL, I think the league is good as it is right now. And look, Oakland, you know what it takes to get an NFL team out there. You had an NFL team out there, and the city wasn't in agreement that they were going to put public dollars out there the way that Las Vegas did it out here. And look at the success that the city has had with Allegiant Stadium, not only with football games, but every single event. The Final Four is coming out here soon. You know that eventually there's going to be a boxing fight out there. Canelo and Crawford ain't going to be it, apparently, but it's going to be something else. There's going to be eventually a big enough name, a big enough card to have out there. I still feel that the UFC someday, they'll be able to put a card out there. But all the concerts, all the events, all the private events that go down, it's a moneymaker. And that's something that the Bay Area missed out on. Oakland missed out on having a team. They had one and they let it go. They had a basketball team, they left. Now they only have a soccer team that their first game, they did an amazing house because it was the first time they were playing a game at the Coliseum. But then after that, the crowd keeps dwindling down. It's USO Championship. With all due respect, it's never going to be anything bigger than a second-tier soccer league. I know that they're trying to be at the same level as MLS. They can call themselves a first division, but the MLS is the MLS. It's like if the UFL, the mix of the USFL and the XFL, if they wanted to compete with the NFL, they won't be able to do it. How much time do you invest in your life watching UFL?
0.
Bobby just said 0. I say 0. It's like, no. I'm like, okay, I'm invested with the Raiders. I watch Raiders football. Heck, now I get paid to watch Raiders football. But before that, I used to watch Raider football or listen to Raider football to stay in the loop with them because that was my team, is my team. But come on, it's like I don't think that's gonna happen. Let's see, expansion in the NFL, no. And look, there's cities like he said. Maybe St. Louis deserves having a football team. Maybe San Diego. St. Louis deserves to have a football team. San Diego deserves to have a football team. Oakland deserves to have a football team. Them and their fan bases deserve having NFL in their cities, but they don't have the kind of infrastructure that the NFL wants nowadays. Look at Washington. They're going to build a brand new stadium. They're going to build a brand new facility. Look at Buffalo. They're going to build a brand new facility. You got to either evolve or get kept in the past. And that's the case right now with Oakland, with San Diego, with St. Louis. They're being kept in the past, and they're being left behind by football and by other sports. What pro sports are in San Diego nowadays? They got the MLS team that they just debuted this year.
Padres.
The Padres. But they don't have hockey. They don't have basketball. They don't have football.
San Diego State.
SDSU, yeah, but that's college. I mean, pros.
Wow.
Yeah. Bobby's like, you know what? That's big in their community. They're proud of SDSU, but in the same level, it's like, with all due respect to UNLV, you don't put UNLV at the same level as the Raiders, as the Golden Knights, as the Aces, as eventually the Athletics.
I mean,
Nowadays.
There's a lot of college programs that have a bigger budget than some of your MLS teams.
True that. Mountain West, though?
Boise State. San Diego State. They've got money.
They got money, but I still don't.
UNLV, I mean, like we keep saying, the same name's Iowa. Right?
True that. But yeah, I mean, the cities deserve teams, but they have to get to the times. get adapted to what's coming up now, and then they'll be able to bring teams back if they're able to have all their ducks lined up.
See, I disagree. I don't think every city deserves to have a team.
Okay, like San Diego, we can say, look at the stadium. They were always invaded by visiting fans in their old stadium.
And you can say the same thing about Sacramento, San Jose. Seattle's a decent town, but how about Portland?
Yeah, there's people saying it's like, yo, are the Trailblazers going to be sold and sent somewhere else?
Would you stick a professional team in Grand Junction, Colorado?
No.
All right, you got one in Mesa. I mean, you got one in Phoenix. How about Mesa? How about Tucson? How about Bakersfield?
Yeah, I feel like there's
These are places that deserve minor league teams, and that's well and good
Yeah.
and fine. When it comes to the professional teams, you really got to stick with the top 30 markets, in my opinion.
and for example, Vegas, what are we? 40?
I have no idea.
I think we're number 40,
Last I checked,
but-
it was 34.
but it's a different kind of market. This is an economy that booms with tourists, and it's different, for example, that the Chargers used to get invaded by visiting fans, and the Raiders, when you go into the stadium and see a crowd that's 60-40, 70-30, or 50-50, it's different. Everybody wants to come to Las Vegas. I got a cousin that flew in from Mexico, and she's spending 4 days out here on the Strip, and it's her first time in town, and she's amazed, and she's loving it, and she's like, I want to go to the tour at the stadium because there's no games right now. What else is there to do sports related? I'm like, hey, there's a lot of stuff to do. The Aces are going to be playing soon their home opener regular season. So it's a different kind of city, Las Vegas, that you got people trying to avoid what they got going on at home, either weather, either family situations. They come to Vegas, they leave it all behind, and then you add a sporting event and watching your team play. It's different than, no disrespect, but going to Sacramento to watch the Athletics play in a AAA ballpark.
But the way I look at it, Vegas is in this kind of like gray area right now, where we're trying to be like a professional team. Okay, we got the Golden Knights. Okay, we got the Raiders. But you know as well as I do. You listen to LA Sports Talk. I grew up on Boston Sports Talk, New York Sports Talk. Vegas has got a long way to go. And you know, we're still kind of a minor league team with, like, say, the Aviators, or say UNLV is not exactly what you would call a top D1 kind of program.
What they were in the past.
But you've also got the Raiders. You've also got the Golden Knights. You've got whatever this fiasco is going on with the A's. I'll bet you $1 we're going to end up with an NBA team before you get the A's part built, but that's a whole other story. We're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. I think it's going to take like another generation of actual sports fans to be able to come along, and they're going to have that in them, inbred into them, to, you know, support Vegas teams, to support the Golden Knights, to support the Raiders, et cetera, et cetera. That's when you're going to start having a serious fan base of rabid sports fans that we grew up with, as opposed to what we have right now, which is they're getting there, but they're not quite there.
And look, Los Angeles didn't start that way.
Well, of course not.
You had to get the Brooklyn Dodgers to go all the way from Brooklyn to LA. The Lakers, they went from Minneapolis all the way to Los Angeles. And then when did the Kings start? When did the Angels? They're in Southern California, not Los Angeles, but they started a little bit later too. And it's like, hey, you then start growing as a market and start getting everything together.
Right. But we're also talking 65, 70 years down the line since the Dodgers moved to LA.
Exactly, and same thing.
It's going to take a generation or two to build that sort of thing up.
And
of course, with LA, now take LA for example. In the '70s, Dodgers were a decent team. You had the LA Kings. The Lakers had already started winning their championships. The Rams were a big deal at that point.
And I'm counting right now on my fingers. What was it? Year 7 for the Golden Knights?
6 or 7.
They started 17, 18, and then now the Raiders 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Year 6 in the market. Man, you're going to get this market booming. Like you said, maybe in a generation, this is going to be the city where it's like, you're a huge market. It's time to go to a break, Raider Nation. After it, we're going to get Sean Sittell. He does an amazing job checking out all the stuff when it comes to Vegas sports. You got him covering the Raiders. You got him covering boxing. He does an amazing job with our folks from Vegas Sports Today. He's going to be joining us here today on the show. Raider Nation, your turn too, 702-365-9200.
Is he right at the top or 105?
Thank you, sir.
Is he right at the top or 105?
2-3 minutes after I come back. All right, let's see. Social media, what we got? Alan in Vegas says, what do you think about the left guard spot? Are you good with Meredith and or Kappa manning that spot? I mean, right now we're looking at, in my opinion, Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Jackson Powers Johnson. Those for sure, those three are going to be in the offensive line. But moving Jackson Powers Johnson, not having Andre James, that leaves the opportunity. I mean, to potentially having Meredith, who closed the year in a great way, to earn his spot in this preseason. El James says, ¿qué onda, Harry? What's up? Manuel Raye, ¿cómo ves a los malosos para esta temporada? Creo que tienen la oportunidad de hacer buenas cosas. Mañana vamos a ir al entrenamiento del equipo. A ver cómo le va. Siga, somos malosos. Ahí voy a estar publicando video y todo. Chris97. Love from a Keeping It 100 fan. Appreciate you. Shout out to Conan. Shout out to Disco. Shout out to Joe. Thanks for keeping me and the family over there and keeping it 100. All right, we got 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. Throat hasn't been at 100% today. But we roughing it out. Saludos a Raider Speedy. What's up? Keith Smith. Greetings from London, England. Shout out to London, everybody out there. Levi Smith. Good afternoon. Hope you're having a Raiderific day. Thank you, brother. This weather, man, it's been going from hot to cold, cold to hot. Pain in the butt. I saw Raider Speedy. Thank you, brother. Always good hearing from you. El Santo Raider, we missed you at the Bakersfield Raider kickoff event. I didn't get invited, brother. Octavio Castro, shout out to you, Octavio, all the way to Torreon.
Here we go.
Thank you, Raider Nation, for staying tuned here on the JT the Brick Show on a Tuesday, May 20th. Man, we're almost at the halfway mark of the 2025. the year 2025. That's crazy. Time flies, but we love being here with you on the JT the Brick Show. Bobby Machado on the ones and twos. Myself, Harry Ruiz on the mic. And you, Raider Nation, tuning in via the Raiders app, via Raider Nation Radio 920 AM. My guy Mickey, he's tuning in. He says that the market is booming and that he sees it on the streets, that we keep growing and growing here on our town. He said social media and marketing will help expedite and facilitate things here in Las Vegas as far as growing a fan base much faster for all its sports franchises and future franchises. That is very true, and that's a topic that we love touching here, man. We're a city where just 8 years ago, we didn't have a single top 4 league team. We didn't have a pro football team. We didn't have a hockey team. We don't have a basketball team or a baseball team yet when it comes to MLB and NBA. We do have, of course, the Aviators, the former 51s. We do have the Aces, but that's WNBA, not NBA. We're eventually going to have a team with every major sports league. They love the city of Las Vegas, and the city of Las Vegas loves this man that we have right now on the air. Our first guest today in our number 2, Sean Sittel from Vegas Sports Today, which every clip I start seeing now on ESPN, on Up and Adams with Kay Adams, everywhere, they're giving you credit out there, Sean. How are you? Great job with all the content that you're pumping out with Vegas Sports Today. Raiders, first day of OTAs that we'll be able to watch tomorrow out there at Raiders headquarters. I'm pretty sure I'll see you out there, right, Sean? One of the clips that is gaining the most traction when it comes to views and requests for media to use your videos is Pete Carroll out there with his long sleeve shirt, with his gloves, going out there with players. You're a guy that has covered a lot of boxing throughout the years. You see a lot of older gentlemen out there as coaches, as people as promoters in a Bob Arum. Had you ever seen a guy that's going to be 74 years old on September 15th, this energetic as you see Pete Carroll on the field? Sean Zattel from Vegas Sports Today is our guest here today on the JT the Brick Show. We were able to see the rookies. Which rookie caught your eye out of all the guys that you saw out there on the field, either be a draftee, an undrafted free agent, a guy that was out there as a rookie minicamp invitee? Did anybody catch your eye more than somebody else?
Well, obviously, Ashton Jeanty was the guy we were all focused on day one. And, you know, a lot of the great players when it comes to the NFL, it seems to be a little different than the NBA. A lot of the special ones are great on day one. A lot of your great running backs are great in their first year. Eric Dickerson, Marshall Faulk, so on and so forth, Jamal Lewis. And, I mean, that's not always the case, but I think Jeanty is going to be one of these players that's pretty much great from day one. I think he's going to be a top 5 running back from day one. We saw the shiftiness. We saw the explosiveness. You know, he's fast. He's definitely got the burst to go upfield. He's not, CJ2K. He's not Chris Johnson. He's not an absolute burner, but he's fast, and his shiftiness and his strength is special. So I think Jeanty, kind of like Nick Bosa a couple of years ago, right out the gates, I think he's going to be a contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it. I would be surprised, Harry, if he doesn't go for over 1,000 yards in his first season. But the guy that I think fans are really going to fall in love with is Jack Besh. He's a unique receiver. The guy is so big, he almost looks like a tight end. I mean, he's huge. And he's a unique player because he doesn't really have that separation speed at the receiver position and speed the premium at the position. But I think he's going to be an effective player regardless without that separation speed. And you just hear that name, Jack Besh, and you can almost hear the old NFL films, The Autumn Wind is a Raider and Jack Besh and Brock Bowers rolled into Denver. Like, Raider fans in my 3 years covering the team, I've come to learn more than talent. They love a gritty dog, a fighter. And Jack Besh is completely that. He is all Raider. I think Raider fans are going to fall in love with him. I don't think he's going to blow everyone away in year one. Unlike Jeanty, I think there is development there. You're going to get your best out of Jack Besh 2-3 years from now. But I think he'll make an impact right away. And he's a dog, and I think Raider fans will love his temperament. I really think he's going to become a fan favorite quickly.
If NFL Films ever needs a voiceover artist for those Raider videos, I think they found a guy right there in Sean Zattel, the way he used it right now. Sean Zattel, Vegas Sports Today, is our guest here right now. Tomorrow, OTA's first day that the media is allowed to watch of this new phase of the offseason program. What's the storyline that you're going to be following the most once we are allowed to, the moment that somebody from Raiders PR opens the gate and we are able to go over to start recording? What's the top storyline that you're going to be focused on?
Obviously, Geno. Gotta get a look at Geno and allow the fans. You know, I think the cool thing about our content is our camera is the truth teller. We're not giving any opinions on it. You watch it and make of it what you will. So I would advise hardcore Raider fans, watch our footage that we get of Geno throughout training camp and just use your eye test. They call it the eye test in all of sports. Use your eye test. Maybe go back, compare it to Gardner Minshew, compare it to Jimmy G, compare it to Aiden O'Connell, and see. And I understand you can only take away so much when no pads on, no tackling happened, no real action. But compare and contrast. See if you think the Raiders got an upgraded quarterback. That's immediately what I'll be fixing my camera on. Is Geno, and I think the hype this year is more around the offense. Last year it was around the defense, and I'll maintain the Raiders had a decent defense last year. They just never really got a fair opportunity to show it. They were in so many games where the defense would hold its own, and then the dam would break because the offense couldn't produce or put them in bad positions. But they lost some names on defense. And I think they have high character guys. I don't think there's questions about the character of the defense, but there's questions about the talent. So I think more of the hype is around the offense because you got a reigning Rookie of the Year who had the greatest season arguably a tight end's ever had, but inarguably the greatest season a rookie tight end's had in Brock Bowers. Jacoby Myers became a 1,000-yard receiver. You spent your first 2 draft picks in the first and second round on skill position players, a potential generational running back. The only question is, Smith, is does the team that's really more on the rebuilding side and they didn't overly commit. It's not a 5-6 year deal, but committing a couple of years to a 35-year-old quarterback, we got to see. We got to see. Geno Smith will be an upgrade, but is he a significant upgrade? Is he an upgrade worth believing in and getting excited about for Raider Nation? That'll be the main story.
Yeah, he's a 35-year-old quarterback, but what, 5 years as a starter, where he was the starter pretty much from beginning to end? He doesn't have that thread on his tires where you're like, oh man, he's beat down. I don't know if he's going to be able to produce. In my opinion, I think that's something important for him. We're hearing from the NFL, from sources, from league reports about the flag football situation with NFL players potentially being allowed to participate in the Summer Olympics in 2028. What's your take on that, Sean? Because, I mean, I'm pretty sure the teams are going to be like, okay, they're going to get guarantees if somebody gets injured that they'll be able to use that cap space or something happens. They're going to get guarantees if they approve it. But, man, can you imagine if it's July 2028 and you lose your starting running back or your starting wide receiver to a freak injury, and now you have to change your plans completely in the blink of an eye a month away from preseason? That would be crazy, right?
Well, it's a reality the NBA's had to deal with for decades, right? I mean, Paul George breaking his leg at a Team USA game or practice, whatever it was, about a decade ago. So I don't know. I think they'd be smart to do what you said and try to put some clauses in here that, hey, if we're going to lend our talent to Team USA Olympics, then we want some protections. But I don't think such protections exist with the NBA. But since this is breaking new ground, the NFL can negotiate that from the outset. I think that'll get a lot of ratings depending on the caliber of players they are able to get to commit to it. If they get star players to play flag football, you're going to see that become one of the most popular, most watched events of the Olympics. My first reaction, go ahead, Harry.
No, and here we go. Tom Pelissero just tweeted, Dream Team, owners just passed the resolution allowing NFL players to participate in flag football in the 2028 Olympics per source. So it's pretty much a done deal.
I think the real question, and I like to go deep about things more often than I should sometimes, but from watching it as a product perspective, I think a lot of people, and I love NFL football. It's why I committed to wanting to cover it. It's an honor to cover the NFL. But I know a lot of people feel like they miss some of the physicality of the game from decades past. And I'm all for no longer using the crown of the helmet as a weapon. I think that was one of the very sensible rule changes. But some of the other rules changes, I think a lot of the fans don't love what it does to the viewing, what they do when they're watching the game. And there's some people worried that in the long term, that's only going to increase more and more, less and less physicality. And some people make the joke, like South Park had the episode Sarcastaball, that one day they're just going to remove tackling altogether. Every other year they remove another technique of tackling another player. So I do think that's a part of this story too, is, hey, are we ultimately trending towards the NFL looking more like flag football than it did in the resembling what it used to resemble in the 20th century, in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. I think that's a part of the story too.
Man, that would be very, very tough. I was speaking in the first segment of the show. I was like, can you imagine how many people are interested in the Pro Bowl nowadays, with the Pro Bowl games being flag football? Not many. And when it happened here, I went to one of the games and I was like, man, that's what we've come to. I hope that's not the case in the future when it comes to the NFL, but I mean, there's going to be eyeballs drawn to the summer games, and a lot of new folks are going to be looking at NFL players that they probably hadn't paid attention to. So before speaking about boxing, let's hear this from after the Canelo fight that he won a couple of weeks ago out in Saudi Arabia.
The two great fighters in our generation, Canelo Alvarez and Crawford. It will be in the stadium in Las Vegas in the 12th of September, inshallah.
That was Turki Al-Sheikh. announcing that Crawford versus Canelo or Canelo versus Crawford would be on Friday, September 12th at the stadium in Las Vegas. I'm pretty sure he wasn't speaking about Cashman Field or the Las Vegas ballpark. I'm pretty sure he was talking about Allegiant Stadium. Now, May 20th, it's not going to be on September 12th. It's going to be on Saturday, September 13th, and it's not going to be at Allegiant Stadium. What the hell's going on with Canelo Crawford, Sean? Because you're a guy that's super connected in the boxing world.
Well, it's a developing saga, but it was always telling that there was never anything from the Raiders side or Allegiant Stadium side to confirm all along. You know, for a big fight like that, a big event like that, you typically would have it agreed to at least half a year ahead of time in advance, in principle. And there was just, outside of Turki Al-Sheikh, who's already gone on record as admitting to misleading the media to serve his own agendas, outside of him, there was never any confirmation this fight was taking place at Allegiant Stadium. That's not to say it potentially, money talks. So there's a chance the man can throw around enough money to make anything happen. But I've always maintained that I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo Crawford winds up in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia, all along. It could still very well take place in the United States, but I always thought to myself, you know, the Saudi government, the Public Investment Fund, which is funding Turki Al-Sheikh's ventures into boxing for the most part, you don't give Canelo Alvarez $250 million to continue to make Las Vegas, you know, the hotbed of boxing. They're trying to make Riyadh replace Las Vegas in many ways. So if this fight ends up in Saudi Arabia, it really won't surprise me, Harry, but this fight, it's a fight that people will be interested in because Canelo and Crawford are two of the best fighters of their generation, two of the best pound for pound. So it's an inorganic fight. Crawford is coming up 2 weight classes. Canelo ducked David Benavidez. To the Canelo fans, relax. Canelo's an all-time great. He's a great fighter. Everybody knows that. But in refusing to fight that, now that's a fight that really could sell out Allegiant Stadium and draw a ton of revenue. Not saying Canelo Crawford potentially couldn't, but Canelo Benavidez is a surefire sellout at Allegiant and wouldn't need a sugar daddy to facilitate the fight. It's a fight that organically would draw enough revenue to where it doesn't need a financier. The fight will sell itself. So, you know, and on the Terrence Crawford side, there was a supremely talented fighter, Jaron Ennis, who was the #1 contender for his titles after he knocked out Errol Spence at T-Mobile. These are the kind of fights that would have benefited the sport. And really, you know, boxing's coming to a point right now where we got to look to the amateur system. You know, the mainstay promoters, PBC headed by Al Heyman. Al Heyman's well into his 70s. Top Rank headed by Bob Arum. Bob's well into his 90s. You got Turkey spending a bunch of money that's not sustainable long term. Boxing in America needs to look to the amateur system and strengthen it, Harry, because right now Netflix is gearing up to release a documentary about the 1984 Olympic team, which featured Evander Holyfield, Pernell Whitaker, Meldrick Taylor. That team won 9 gold medals. We haven't won a single gold medal in boxing in over 20 years since Andre Ward won a gold medal in Athens, Greece, 2004.
Wow.
So, you know, we could talk about Canelo Crawford and is PBC going to run by his Top Rank, his Turkey, and Dana White going to click up to monopolize the sport. But none of it matters if it'd be like talking about who's going to run the NFL and the NCAA, which produces all the talent to make the NFL, is in complete shambles. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot of smoke around. Earlier in New York, Dana White and Turkey met in New York City to meet with Netflix to try to potentially put Canelo Crawford on Netflix, but a conflict of interest arises there. Turki Al-Sheikh owns a 13% stake in DAZN, and DAZN's viewership is not nearly as strong as Netflix. But where do you think he's going to want the fight, Harry? Is he going to want it on the platform he owns 13% of, or is he going to want it on Netflix? I think you know the answer.
Yep.
So him and Dana probably bumped heads there because Dana's probably saying, look, you're bringing me on to help run and steer this ship. This fight needs to be on Netflix to bring the most eyeballs, but then Turkey has this conflict of interest with DAZN. So soon thereafter, you see Turkey tweet out Salah, the Saudi Arabian-based promotional company, will be promoting this fight. The next question is,
will they be hosting the fight?
Yep, and also something important: if they do fight on the Zone on pay-per-view on Saturday, September 13th, the UFC has a show the same day in Mexico, Noche UFC. It's just a big cluster, you know what, right now going on. Sean, please tell the folks where they can follow you on social media, all the great work you do with Vegas Sports Today.
Please just follow me at my name, Sean Zittel, Zittel. That's across Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. For football updates, go to Vegas Sports Today. For all the boxing stuff, just stay on my timeline, and I got you covered.
Yeah, and we got to talk about Manny Pacquiao. He's going to be fighting out here in Las Vegas soon, so hopefully we can have you on one of these days to talk about one of the legends of the sport coming back. Man, that's crazy. I heard that he was going to fight again. I was like, what? Is it serious? And it's like, yep, he's out there training again in L.A. Thank you so much, Sean.
Thanks, Harry.
There he goes. Thank you so much to Sean Zittel, and thank you so much also to Raising Cane's. Need flavor fast? Order at RaisingCanes.com or on the Cane's mobile app, where every chicken finger is hand battered and cooked to order. Every crinkle cut fry is crispy and perfectly salted. Every Texas toast is buttered to perfection, and every bite is incomplete without craveable Cane's sauce. Are you hungry yet? Dive into Flavor Flaves. Faves, it's Cane's O'Clock. Time to dig in. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love. I need to go get a box combo soon because, man, the Raising Cane's out here in Las Vegas, it definitely beats the ones from other states. Time to go to a commercial break, Raider Nation, and we'll come right back with more here on the JT the Brick Show. Let's come back with Mike North, if we can.
Previously on Unnecessary Roughness.
Bryce Butler, former Raider wide receiver, longtime NFL wide receiver with us here.
You know, Derek was really resilient from a young guy. I mean, shoot, I caught the most balls in my career in 2014 because, and that was a weird year for me, but every time I was up there, he made sure he threw me the ball. So, I mean, the huddle was great because if he saw me running in that thing, he looked at number 12 and he was like, it's go time.
Don't miss Unnecessary Roughness, weekdays at 2 on Raider Nation Radio, 920 AM.
Ludacris in concert.
Hands up! Get back, get back. You don't know me like that.
One explosive night of his biggest hits. Saturday, June 7th at Resort Pool, Las Vegas.
But I gotta know what's your fantasy.
Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.
You just got hustled for a while.
Ludacris.
Act the fool.
Shake your money maker like somebody about to pay you.
Hey, Luda.
Did you know that a lab-grown diamond is just as real as an earth-grown diamond? The only difference is time. One took 1 billion years, the other not as long, and costs a lot less. At the Diamond Store in Boca Park, we believe in doing things differently. No mystery gems, no mass-produced selections. Every diamond, whether lab-grown or earth-grown, is hand-picked for superior quality, brilliance, and beauty. Sure, every jeweler claims to have the best selection and the lowest prices. We've heard it all before. But here's the difference at the Diamond Store. We don't just say it, we prove it. Transparent pricing, elite diamonds, unmatched service. That's why we're the official jeweler of the Vegas Golden Knights, because champions demand the best. And whether you're searching for the perfect engagement ring, a statement piece, or a timeless classic, we have something that will take your breath away. It's time you experience the difference for yourself. Come see real quality at the Diamond Store in Boca Park, where Vegas shines brightest.
Nevada SPCA is the community shelter, funded by the community for the community. I'm Executive Director Lori Heron. We are the original no-kill animal shelter in Southern Nevada, where our most vulnerable pets are at home until they find a new one. Take a dog on a field trip, foster a kitten, volunteer with your family, and best of all, consider adding a new member to your home by adopting. Get happiness today at NevadaSPCA.org.
Find happiness at SPCA.
Here's your chance to own a luxury vehicle at a non-luxury price. Hi, this is Brennan, General Manager at Jaguar Land Rover Las Vegas. Come and see a variety of our certified pre-owned vehicles at Jaguar Land Rover Las Vegas, or visit us online at jlrlv.com.
Modelo is an official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is a rich, full-flavored Pilsner-style lager, delivering a crisp, refreshing taste. Brewed with fighting spirit since 1925.
If it's for the truck, give us a call. We got it. Hey, Vegas. At For the Truck, we always offer our first responders and military a 10% discount. Are you ready to take your truck?
Sorry about that.
For the Truck is giving everyone 10% off online exchange.
All right. Please, God, keep me awake for 33 more minutes.
Sorry?
So keep me awake for 33 more minutes.
Let's go. You done after the show, or yeah? Nice.
I got some steak tips and rice play after dinner tonight.
Nice.
Home, watch the Sox get their ass kicked by the Mets.
That was a good win yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cousin's boyfriend came into town and he put in a parlay and he had Red Sox, Mets, and I don't remember which other team, and he hit it. So I was like, hey, good for
I
you.
got lucky. Honestly, I mean, the bullpen actually
Dude,
provided for it. You know.
so he got like that 3 parlays with dogs and he won, and then he had 3 parlays with favorites and he lost.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, shit.
That's baseball, man.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually happy. They managed to get through the bullpen 4 2/3 innings, no runs. That's kind of a miracle for them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is Mike North, my old buddy.
And they agreed to move some stuff around, so they're going to host Monday night. So the Chargers do come back from Brazil to a road game, but at least it's to Vegas, and it's on a Monday night, so they do get a little extra rest.
That's Mike North, the Vice President of Broadcast Planning and Scheduling for the NFL, speaking about how it came to be that the Raiders ended up playing, are going to end up playing on Monday Night Football in Week 2 on Pete Carroll's birthday. That's going to be pretty cool for Pete Carroll being on the sidelines on his 74th birthday, hopefully getting a win for the Silver and Black, his first win in Las Vegas, coaching the Raiders. That would be fantastic because hopefully he also comes over back from the road with a 1-0 record against his former team out there in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Harry Ruiz here on the air with you on the JT the Brick Show. So if it weren't for the Chargers having their stadium booked on the weekend of Week 2 by a Chris Brown concert, would the Raiders only end up playing 2 primetime games? The Thursday Night Football game in Denver and the Monday Night Football game against the Cowboys? That's a big question mark. But this quote from Mike North was heard on the Rich Eisen Show, which you can listen to here on Raider Nation Radio from 10 to noon, Monday through Friday. Let's keep it going here on Raider Nation Radio. Raider Nation, the phone lines are open, 702-365-9200. I was looking at the betting odds courtesy of the DraftKings Sportsbook, and man, no love for the Raiders. But look, in my opinion, at the end of the day, you got to earn that love. You got to earn that respect. You got to prove doubters wrong, and then we can be pissed off for not getting any love, for not getting any respect, from not getting any recognition from either the sports books, the outside media, people from outside the building. Because right now, looking at the odds, the Raiders, their favorite against the Titans in Week 6, against the Jaguars in Week 9, against the Browns in Week 12, and against the Giants in Week 17. Favorites by a field goal at home against the Titans. Favorites by 1.5 points against the Jaguars, also at home. Favorite by 3.5 against the Browns, also at Allegiant Stadium. And favorites by 2.5 against the Giants in Week 17. That means that the Raiders are only favorites against four of the 5 teams that picked ahead of them in the NFL draft. That's crazy. That's incredible. But I was also like breaking down the odds, and the Raiders, if the line is from 0 to 3, pick them to 3 points. They're favorites in 4 games, underdogs in 4 games. So in 4 of the games that they're underdogs, it's either by a field goal or fewer points. Underdogs between 3.5 and 5.5 points, 3 games. Underdogs by a touchdown, and I'm keeping that between 6 and 8 points because a touchdown is 6 points, an extra point, obviously one more. 2-point conversion can bring a touchdown up to 8 points. Raiders, an underdog by a touchdown in 4 games this season. And in only 2 matchups, they're underdogs by more than a touchdown, by 8.5 or more points. And they're both the games against the teams that ended up playing in the last Super Bowl. Their visit to the Chiefs in Week 7, Raiders underdogs by 9.5 points, and the visit to the defending Super Bowl champions in Week 15, the Eagles, 10.5 points. I say it makes sense. I say I understand. I understand why the Raiders are put as underdogs as in most games, and they're not getting any love. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, the casinos, they get built left and right in Las Vegas. And every time they're getting more beautiful and bigger everywhere you go. You go to all the properties on the northern side of the strip, and you're like, damn, the Resorts World, look at what a great property Resorts World is. You go to the Doghouse Saloon, and it's like, man, you can have a great time right there. You go watch Carrie Underwood, or you go watch a comedy show, and it's like, man, I really like this property. And there's the same case with other properties in town, and they keep getting bigger and more beautiful. Why? Because there's money that keeps going into those properties, and they're not going to be putting out odds that are going to give juice to people to be like, ooh, man, the Raiders are underdogs by 3.5 points. I'm going to bet on my house on it because this isn't that. No, the casinos, they know what they're doing, and it's the truth. They're underdogs against the Patriots by 3.5. They're underdogs against the Chargers in Monday Night Football at Allegiant Stadium by 3. They're underdogs to the Chicago Bears by 1.5 points, and same case with the Colts on the road. And it's, you know what? You earned that respect, and I'm pretty sure the Chiefs, I haven't seen their odds because I don't care about the Chiefs, but I'm pretty sure they're either underdogs in 1, maybe 2 games if they're on the road against a big-name opponent, and that's it. They're getting all the love because they've earned it, making it to the playoffs. How many years in a row? By winning the division. How many years in a row? By being in the AFC Championship. How many years in a row? Same case with the Super Bowl. So that's something I wanted to bring up, touch, and mention when it comes to the NFL with the Raiders and the odds, and we're in Vegas. Gambling, the odds, they're a huge thing, and before it used to be people traveled to Las Vegas to put in their wagers. They came into Las Vegas in crazy numbers for NCAA basketball, and it was tough to get a hotel room or a spot in the sports book, but nowadays, you go to California and you can do it on an app. You go to other states and you can do it on an app the same way that before you used to struggle to fly in, to get a room, to put your bets in. It's a different world that we are living in right now. Another situation that's interesting, that's cool when it came to the Raiders is Ashton Jeanty. He's going to wear number 2, Deuce. You could see it on his TikTok and Instagram. I think that's how he's listed. On Twitter, he's Ashton Jeanty 2, something like that. And when we spoke with him, when he got introduced by the Raiders the day after the first round of the draft, he mentioned the importance of that number, how his family used to wear it, how he was born on, I think it was December 2nd. So he says that's when greatness was born. So it's very important for him. The situation here with the Raiders was Daniel Carlson has been wearing that number for a very long time for the Silver and Black. 5 years, if I recall correctly, and he has had some great moments with the Raiders wearing number 2. But also the reality is, who's going to be on the field more time? The kicker or the running back? The situation here, there had to be a negotiation. Let's listen to Ashton Jeanty speaking about what it took to get number 2 from Daniel Carlson.
Yeah, I called him. I was like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get that number 2, you know. I'm willing to negotiate, you know, whatever you're thinking. You know, I gave him what I was thinking, you know, first that he came back, you know, and I'm like, hey, man, I gotta do it. You know, I gotta drop. I gotta drop that little bag for number 2. He seen that signing bonus, but he was cool about it. But the good thing, as well with it, is some of the money is gonna be given to charity as well. So.
Yeah, you look at Ashton Genty's contract value, almost $36 million. That's his rookie contract. The big signing bonus also goes included in that. $22.746 million is the signing bonus for Ashton Genty. You look at Daniel Carlson's career endings. I wish I had this number by the end of my life, but it's going to be tough to get it with the profession I'm in. Career earnings for Daniel Carlson, $19.4 million so far in the NFL, which is great for a kicker. But hey, you know what? When somebody offers you something in exchange, and like he said, the charity aspect being included in it, I'm pretty sure that's something where it's like, okay, I'm not that attached to that number. He goes back to his old number with the Raiders when he arrived to the team after getting cut by the Minnesota Vikings, and now everybody's happy. Daniel Carlson is kicking for the Raiders. Ashton Genty's with the silver and black, rocking number 2. And hopefully Ashton Genty gets the Raiders, A, in the end zone more often, B, in the red zone more often, and putting in Daniel Carlson in a better situation instead of having to force 50-plus yard field goals and getting those opportunities with lower effectiveness deep in the field. Put him in easier spots. Put him in easier spots to get field goals, and please make more touchdowns, get more touchdown scores than field goal, and you'll be a very successful team. And I'm pretty sure Ashton Genty is going to be able to do that. All right, Raider Nation, you know that I love pizza. My girlfriend, she absolutely loves pizza, and Grimaldi's is hands down my favorite pizza in Las Vegas. Only at Grimaldi's can you get their famous New York-style coal-fired brick oven pizza, and Grimaldi's is now serving slices on weekdays for lunch. Grimaldi's has 4 locations in the Las Vegas Valley: Boca Park, the Palazzo, on South Rainbow, and on Eastern Avenue. Shout out to Grimaldi's, a great sponsor for the JT the Brick Show. We're going to speak about NBA hoops coming after the break. We're going to speak about Major League Baseball, and man, do we have exciting stuff coming up with the Western and Eastern Conference Finals, and also baseball starting to heat up. We're going with that after this commercial break. 702-365-9200, your last chance to call into today's show. Sorry, sir?
What are we playing?
Let's come back with let's do Tush Push first, 6288, and then we'll do Halliburton, and we'll just go with baseball after that.
Which one do you want me to rejoin?
Rejoin with Tush Push, Luvu. Please. Yeah. What's up, yeah? Is Q in today? Is Q in the studio?
back to the
Thank you, sir.
Hey, it's Chris Fox. Yep, your morning radio guy, and I want to be your trusted Las Vegas realtor. I've called Las Vegas my home for over 34 years, and I know it like the back of my hand. And I've helped a lot of Las Vegans just like you. So whether you're buying, selling, investing, or you have a property that needs a lot of TLC, I can help. Just call me, 702-419-4346. 702-419-4346. I want to be your trusted Las Vegas realtor, and I'm ready to go to work for you. Simply Vegas Real Estate. Book number 1000960.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Grimaldi's Pizzeria, home of the famous New York-style coal-fired brick oven pizza. Back to the JT the Brick Show with today's guest host, Harry Ruiz.
Yeah, I think they should ban it, you know what I mean? But I know the argument is gonna be about like, hey, you know, you guys have to stop it, okay, let's say short yardage and whatnot, but I mean, it's kind of like a Chico play, man. You got Jordan Mailata on the right, you got, you know, it's pretty much a scrum and rugby. That's how I kind of look at it. And you got to have the scrum too on the other side. And the scrum is, you know, we have a cadence where we all go at once. It's not like you march down or this and that, where, you know, now you get the best with myself jumping over the pile, thinking, you know, about to snap the ball. And that's just my own personal opinion, and I'll leave it at that.
That's Frankie Louvu, Commanders linebacker on Good Morning Football, speaking about the NFL and the potential ban to the tush push. I mean, he said, yeah, you're just gonna say, hey, if you can't stop it, that's why you want to ban it. It's like, man, I agree with that. I'm like, if you ain't good enough to stop it, well, figure out ways to stop it. The Eagles found a way to move the football in short yardage situations. Good on them. Be good enough to stop it, and then they'll stop running that play over and over and over again. Look over at, man, what pisses me off, though, is I remember the Raiders, what was it, 2 years ago or 3 years ago? They figured out a way where somebody could hold the football, and they went through the whole rule book, and there wasn't a rule about it. During kickoffs, they could hold the football tilted just a little bit to the side, and Daniel Carlson could pin it inside the 5 very easily. After 2-3 games, the league came and it was like, you know what? No, we don't want to allow you to do it, Raiders. And the Raiders were like, hey, we looked through the rule book. Nothing says you can't have somebody like, no. Let's stop that. So I have a feeling if it were the Raiders doing this, it would be a different thing. But you know what? That's us as Raider fans, as Raider Nation. We always have the league going against us. But I just look at that just a couple of years ago. The Raiders used to tilt the ball a little bit during kickoffs, and the league came running. No. You can't do that. Why? It's not in the rule book. Well, now it's going to be in the rule book. So let's see if the Philadelphia Eagles are able to keep their tush push, their brotherly shove, their play that got them to success, that got them to be able to win a Super Bowl, and 1 yard at a time. It makes a huge difference. It's a game of inches. If you're able to get that yard on 4th and 1 and in an effective manner without having to go in your bag of tricks to figure out that one play to move the ball 1 yard, if everybody knows you're going to run it and you run it and it's successful, well, hey, the other team has to step up to the plate and figure out how not to do things. And you know what? One thing that people shouldn't be doing, throwing trash, like a big bag filled with trash into other people. There was a Pacers fan walking around New York the day the Knicks won their right to be in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they were just harassing him, pushing him, yelling at him, but then they threw like a huge bag of trash at him, and another guy threw another bag of trash at him. Fortunately, the Pacers fan kept his act straight and didn't go into aggressive mode as well, because, hey, it would have been 100-1. This man is a firefighter. This man, I mean, is a brave guy. Like, there's folks that would probably think about it smarter and be like, I'm not going to go into the jungle and get eaten by the lion just because I'm wearing my team's colors. But this fan, he's a proud fan. He's a Pacers fan. And you know what? Everybody, that video went viral. Everybody saw it all over social media, including the Indiana Pacers, who are going to be playing against the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. And here's what happened on the Pat McAfee show, where they surprised the fan with Tyrese Halliburton. And Hallie had a huge surprise for him. How about that? Hans Perez is this guy's name, firefighter, father, former amateur boxer. I guess those fans didn't know that, right? That he was a former amateur boxer. If not, they wouldn't have been messing with him. But he kept his stuff together, and he was like, all right, I'm not going to let these people get into my brain, get into my thoughts. And now he's going to be a guest of the Indiana Pacers. He's going to meet the whole squad. Game 4. That's going to be fun. That's going to be interesting. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals is tonight. The Timberwolves are going to be taking on the OKC Thunder. The Thunder are heavy favorites in the Western Conference Finals. The series betting minus 370 OKC, Minnesota plus 295. The Eastern Conference Final, way more leveled. New York Knicks favorites minus 144. Indiana Pacers plus 122. Who's going to make it into the NBA Finals? I mean, OKC Thunder, they got everything going in their favor with their young stars, with their players who just killed it this season. I have a feeling it's going to be OKC on the Eastern Conference Finals. Just to be on the contrary side of JT the Brick, I'm going to say the Indiana Pacers. Let's see if JT gets to be happy or not. For many years, the Pacers and Reggie Miller, they owned the New York Knicks in big stages. Let's see if Halliburton or Brunson, which, by the way, they had a WWE angle like within the last year. That's crazy now that they're in the Eastern Conference Finals with the spot in the NBA Finals on the line. Let's talk some baseball. Let's go over with the Boston Red Sox. They're doing a good thing. They might catch the New York Yankees very soon. The Red Sox win 3-1 in Fenway against the Mets. The Red Sox are now only 4.5 games behind the Yankees. When you count just the wins, Yankees 27, Red Sox 24, they are close. And with the loss, the Mets are now second place in the National League because the Philadelphia Phillies, they got a big win last night. The Philadelphia Phillies beat the Rockies 9-3. I mean, who doesn't beat the Rockies? They got 8 wins and we're almost into June. They haven't gotten to double digits. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. The Houston Astros, man, for a while, they had a very slow start, and I think they weren't over 500 until like a month into the season. But right now, they are feeling themselves. That's the game-winning home run, 4-3 win over the Tampa Bay Rays on the road. The Astros 25-22. They are trailing only the Seattle Mariners. And Julio, he did his thing. 5-1 to win in Chicago against the White Sox, and they lead the division, the American League West, by 2.5 games over the Astros. And let's close out baseball talking about my Dodgers. Man, this from Friday until now, it's been miserable. And this was part of it last night. Man, they lost 9-5 to the D-backs yesterday. They lost 6-4 to the Angels on Sunday, 11-9 to the Angels on Saturday, 6-2 to the Angels on Friday, after defeating the Athletics 19-2 on Thursday. I posted it on social media. I know my team so well. It's awesome they scored 19 tonight. But on Friday, they're going to score 2 runs tops, and it was literally 2 runs. And since then, they haven't found their groove. On Friday, it was batting. Since then, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, it's been the pitching that has been letting the team down, and it's frustrating. And I still just got to be like, okay, Musa, stay cool, stay calm, stay collected. It's just May right now. We still got a lot of baseball left, but when you outspend the rest of baseball by a lot of money, when you're investing $400 million and are on a 4-game losing streak, and now you're going to be playing the D-backs this week. You're going to be playing the Mets. You're going to be playing the Yankees. The Mets again. It doesn't get any easier. The Dodgers better get their act straight because it's going to get tough. Raider Nation, that's it for today's show here on Raider Nation Radio, the JT the Brick Show. JT will be back at it tomorrow here in our studio. Q Myers has the show, Unnecessary Roughness, you know it, from 2 to 5. Stay tuned to our station. I'm Harry Ruiz. Follow me on Twitter, at Harry Ruiz, on Instagram, at Harry_Ruiz, and on TikTok, Harry Ruiz_. Tomorrow, I'll be at OTAs posting a lot of content. Let's go, Raider Nation. Have a great week. Thank you, Bobby. Martin B, salute Harry. Martin, I'll take success over plaudits. Take care, family. Thanks to everybody that tuned in on TikTok and everywhere. IG, Big Steve, Raiders, Bonche, Harry, tu pronóstico para la temporada de los Raiders. De 7 a 10 victorias, me voy ahorita. NFL versus the Raiders, that's true. True Angelino. Thanks to everybody for tuning in.